Hello, it's T, parent guide and harmonizer, and I'm very happy to be here with you for this episode to talk about how I needed to really massage a tool and customize it and continually customize it to see how it could fit into serving my family, essentially. And so we're going to get into it. I'm not going to teach the tool. I am going to tell you about how I needed to customize it. And the tool is family meetings, which is a wonderful, very it's like a mega tool within positive discipline. And there's a lot of moving pieces. So there's like a whole list of to-dos and a process and a flow. And before we get into all the pieces that didn't work for me and how I needed to work with it, we're going to do what we always do. We're just going to take a couple of nice deep breaths. Just let some light in to your body and breathe it out and breathe it in. Let it even expand beyond your body. Great. Wonderful. Just softening anything that you've been contending with in the day so far, just softening a little bit. So we'll get into family meetings. So you'll remember that I have two sons. They are teenagers now. They are 16 and almost 18. When I first implemented family meetings, though, they were both teenagers probably, but much younger teenagers, so maybe 13 and 14, 12 and 14, something like that. Um, so it was definitely different than it is now, but it wasn't like I was dealing with 4, 6, 8 year olds. Okay. So there's a structure to family meetings. Everyone has to be there and everyone needs to sit around a table, and it's not supposed to be mealtime. And, this did not necessarily sit well, just like the whole dictating, okay, everybody has to be here and be in a certain position, sitting around a certain table, um, just didn't really sit well. I remember when we first started, my one son was like, no, I think I'll sit at the peninsula. And I was like, grr, and well, that's not the way it's supposed to go. And so I had this rigidity, right? Rigidity, like I was clinging to those rules, like somehow they were magical. But really, all that they served to do was to sort of separate me and him, and create distance and create more of a barrier. So we flexed. Okay, you can sit wherever you like. We're not going to be watching TV, and we're not going to have our phones, but you can sit where you like. Or actually, like last Sunday, we had a family meeting, and I think they were sitting and I was sort of standing, and it was just kind of more impromptu kind of a thing. So, you know, I just want to illuminate that we can hold ourselves to rules and give them power that is unwarranted. That really is not necessary. And we can use rules in unhelpful ways. So sitting around a table didn't go over. Um, there was like this expectation that I had that everyone would equally bring agenda items to family meeting. And I just want to say it was like months and months and months and months before either one of my sons really brought anything to a family meeting. And, that's okay. But I think it was probably my expectation and what do you have? And, the energy that I brought to that expectation that kept them a little bit from bringing anything sooner. So I'm just eliminating my experience. So there's also roles, right? There's roles with family meeting. Somebody is the snack maker, and someone is the family fun activity person. And so when we would come with these expectations of, and somebody would facilitate, and we would rotate these responsibilities because that was a way to share and add variety to the contribution and all these good reasons, right? But it didn't go over so well. And so now what it's come to is if I feel like, because I do like to bake. So if I feel inspired to bake something or cut orange slices or bring a snack, then I will. And if I don't, then nobody's attached to it, including me. And that is fine and that works. And by the same token, with family fun activity, I mean, I used to feel like crying when it didn't go well. Um, and so now sometimes we'll have one and sometimes we won't. Like we do have indoor snowballs. So sometimes we'll have an indoor snowball fight. Sometimes, I don't know, we'll do like they'll run me around the house on piggyback, like they're both like really big, right? So that'll be fun. But we don't always have a family fun activity. If it's more impromptu and kind of like, let's make sure that we, huddle up before we, go do the next thing or before we scatter or before somebody has something else going on. What else? Oh, the whole starting with celebrations and appreciations. So in the beginning, and again for months, I would have a celebration appreciation for everyone in the family, and so would my husband. And then we would like look expectantly at them, like, what do you have? And I think there were a few times when they each had something for everyone. And then there were some times when they only had one for one or two of us, but not the brother or whatever. And it sort of struck me that, like, what am I going to do? Like, force someone to appreciate someone else? That is not really what this is about. It's not about force and it's not about control and dictating. So that has become something that is much more fluid now. And so when there are special things going on, or we feel compelled to give a shout out and like, hey, thanks so much for pitching in and helping out with this, or I really appreciate the way that you did that. I love, like, thanks for, recognizing that you helped our neighbor do whatever. We will voice that, but not with the expectation that every one of us must have an appreciation for every single other one of us. Not saying that that's the wrong way or the right way, just making sure that I show the flexibility of this amazing tool, and it's not all or nothing. Let's see. Oh, we have had a few tricky situations where somebody just completely slept in, and they didn't make it to family meetings. So we did actually end up having it just to honor everyone who was there. So 3 out of 4. And we tried to have some conversations in the gap or later that day to say, hey, do we need to rethink the time to a time when we know that somebody's not going to sleep over it or what have you. And so we we found our ways around those challenges. I will say that we have been pretty good since we implemented about keeping it a weekly occurrence. Not again 100%, but probably 95%. Like when we're on vacation or things like that, it's not something that, that even makes sense to have when we're on vacation, since we're spending more time together anyway, and there's not the scheduling, and there's not the same kind of an aspect to it. But keeping it weekly is definitely, I would say, a best practice, or keeping it regular. If you do biweekly, if you do, whatever it is, keeping it regular is a great idea. And then I wanted to close out with a few thoughts. One is the idea of readiness for family meeting. When your kids are in the different developmental stages, they'll be ready for different parts of family meeting. So having an expectation that everybody is going to be at the same level, doing the same kind of thing. Your parents, if you have more than one child, you need to adjust your expectations, right? It's just another instance of adjusting your expectations. And the other piece is to evaluate your own readiness. I think you can tell by some of the obstacles that I shared and barriers that I had to navigate with my family that I was not bringing necessarily a lightness and an openness and a solution kind of mindset. I was like, okay, this is how it's going to go, and more regimented and more controlling, and that did not go over well. So I wanted to let you know that if you have already implemented family meetings, or you're digging into it right now, that's fantastic. I think in a future episode, I will offer, maybe like the top 3, or like an overview of family meetings. But I don't want to do that before I have some other training for you to go through. So I will, you have an official rain check for that. All right, take good care. I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.